This is Everyday Economics, the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world that happens around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, president of the 501c3 nonprofit Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network. You can check out all of our great podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make your tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We are recording today's episode on Thursday, May 25th. And joining me as always, my friend, my colleague, Dr. Orphe Divounguy. The people who own and operate small businesses know about early mornings and long days. And as you and I have been talking about the economy and how it's affecting different people in sort of different walks of life, if you're a small business owner and you're listening, I am tipping my cap to you. The things that you've had to go through over the last 3+ years with regard to COVID, mitigations, and the closures of certain businesses. And now, as we're kind of shaking COVID fully off, we're dealing with the realities of an economy that was overstimulated and is becoming that much more difficult to navigate if you are, in a startup mode, or if you're just a small business that needs to reach out and borrow money every now and again, or have a revolver account where you're, having access to cash. Oh, I was looking at my bank, which is one of the gigundous banks in the United States. Their best offer right now, I believe, is for new borrowers. So this would be an incentive to come and do some banking with them. It is the prime borrowing rate plus 1.99%. And I will tell you that I want to say that it, on the advertisement that I saw, and I read through into the digital brochure, there were several asterisks next to that 1.99%. So I don't know if it's like, that you have to be like a left-handed oboe player who can stand on her head, qualify for that rate. But you're talking about real money. And when you're borrowing money like that, you've got to be pretty sure that you're going to be making money with that investment. Just trying to paddle along in the creek is not going to get it done. As far as it goes for small businesses and lending right now, where would we see those pressures in the marketplace? If we're just sort of looking, this happens very much behind the scenes and is part of business operations. Where does it manifest itself to everyday Americans?
The first thing is you can't get a loan, right? And rates just keep going up and up and up. And so, if you're trying to, starting with the consumer, if you're a consumer, you're trying to get access to cash because either, your income isn't growing as fast, so, keeping up with inflation, or your family is expanding, or you have to move or something like that. Then what happens? You're facing higher credit card debt. You're facing higher mortgage rates. Everything's more costly. The cost of borrowing is much higher. And so demand for stuff goes down. Places like Costco, for example, you look at their earnings, you look at how well they're doing. It's a great place to look, place like Costco, because you have all types of consumers that go and shop there, middle to higher income, and also all the way down to lower income households go to Costco. And so it's a great place to look to see how well the American consumer is doing. The point is, if borrowing costs go up, people spend less. And if you're a small business owner, it means people are buying less stuff. And if people are buying less stuff, well, your profit margins shrink. At the same time, you're trying to run a business, and your inputs, your material costs cost money, right? Your labor is costly, right? You want to grow your business when the economy is slowing down like that. You can't grow your business, right? So you get a little frustrated if you're a business owner in this environment. You don't have as much access to credit.
Or you're already deep into your credit.
Exactly. And so those are the things that are happening right now with financial conditions tightening, credit tightening across the board. The Fed has this thing, the Survey of Senior Loans Officer, that basically talks about this, that loan officers are reporting that lending has tightened to businesses and households. That's what's going on right now.
I would think that you would really have to think hard and long about taking out a loan such as that. It's like an unsecured loan at this point from that large bank that I was referencing would be at the lowest 7.99%. So carrying an 8% loan on borrowed money on a term that would be no longer than probably 48 months. I mean, the business loans, they're not like, they're not forever loans. An unsecured business loan, you're on a pretty short leash there.
I talked about rates, but also like the size of credit lines, right? Like even if you get approved, even if you have extremely good credit, the size of the credit lines is shrinking as well, right? It's making it very difficult. To be fair, this is exactly what the journey the Fed embarked on a year ago when it said, look, the US economy is too hot. Inflation's off the charts. We need to cool it down. And that's the process. That's how that process happens, right? You start with interest rates increasing. Then we got some banking sector turmoil because of the interest rate increases, and the banks' balance sheets deteriorating translates to banks lending less, essentially, especially on riskier loans, right? So anything that's commercial loans, anything that where you don't have somebody credit that's like super high, for mortgage lending or personal lending, for example, people are just not going to get the kind of loans that they would have gotten just, a year and a half ago.
Our hearts go out to the small business owners. We're with you. Hang in there. Do your very best. We don't offer financial advice on this program, but there are people out there who can. I just want to encourage those that think they might be having some difficulties. Confirm what you suspect and go get the counseling that you need.
Can I just add something? I mean, you have to be very strategic. You have to understand also that we were talking about this earlier. The larger businesses that have a ton of cash flow may actually be able to kind of grow the gap between them and the smaller guy, right? Really relies on financing from, getting that access to credit. And so it's very difficult for the small guy relative to the big guys. I mean, you see it in the stock market, the Facebooks, the Metas and the Googles and the Apples, they're recovering pretty well. And, you look at the stock market year to date and you're shocked by how well tech is doing, given that, when the Fed started raising rates, tech had taken a big hit. And then all of a sudden, right, these are their stocks that are doing well right now.
They're the horses. Absolutely.
That's right. And so the small guy, the bigger guy with a ton of cash flow, cash on hand is doing well. The small guy who relies entirely on the banks is struggling. And that's that side, but that's kind of part of the cycle. The best businesses will survive. We've been there before. Best ideas, the best businesses, the ones that create the most value will make it out of this period.
Thanks as always, Dr. O. For Dr. Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics at americastalking.com.